Midnight on Earth podcast with your host, Jake Weaver. Engineered by Cedric Swan.
Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Midnight on Earth. I'm your host, Jake Weaver, and we are here to bring you more knowledge, more light, and more love. And I love Beyond the News episodes. And we're back. If you do not know, if you have not yet participated in a Beyond the News episode, every 7 episodes, we comb Earth's newsfeed. We find the weird, the strange, the cutting edge. Everything really that Midnight on Earth is, all that really interesting information, we find it out there on Earth's various news feeds. All legitimate, or let's just say mainstream news sources, though maybe not right on the front page. We find those stories, we aggregate them, we bring them to you every 7 episodes. Beyond the News. I love it. It gives me a chance to just hang out, set something down on the table and just say, hey, what's up? How's it going? Cool. You know what I mean? We're hanging out. It's very chill. Not that I don't love the interview episodes. I absolutely love them equally. It's like having different children. You love them equally, but they're just different entities. So here we are. Beyond the News is a different entity within the sphere of the Midnight on Earth universe. And of course, along with me, as a co-pilot, as a guest co-host for almost all the Beyond the News episodes, I might add, Brynn Anderson of Vital Force Herbs. She is here with us yet again. Hello, Brynn.
Hello, Jake.
What's up? How's it going?
It's going great.
Hey, we're hanging out. This is casual. So good to see you again.
Thank you. You too.
Beyond the News, we're taking the deep dive again. It never ends.
I'm sure.
These articles, again, I'm going to use the child metaphor. These articles are like children. They're like human children. They just never stop being born. There's always someone, well, or AI now, writing these articles and putting them out there. It never stops. Information never stops moving, and it never stops advancing in some strange way. So here we are back again. Are you excited? This is going to be a really, really interesting one.
I'm excited. You told me this was going to be so interesting. So now I'm just like on the edge of my seat.
Well, I said really, really now. It's like
really, really. Well, now you've upped it. So now I can't actually wait any longer.
Yeah, 2 adjectives. And it's going to be
You're just trying to make me wait longer now. You're talking about grammar. Come on.
So tell me, at the dawn of time, no. Here's the thing. Before we get into this, I get really excited. I get really worked up. The energy starts flowing and have to remember to do these 2 things, which is big up to the sponsor, Vital Force Herbs, run by the amazing, the incredible, yes, she's here herself, Brynn Anderson of Vital Force Herbs. She is one of our sponsors. And let me tell you, people, her products are absolutely amazing. Go to the website, Vital, V-I-T-A-L, Vital Force Herbs. You go there and you can look at these amazing blends that she's created, all kind of dialed in with her decades of herbal expertise, intertwined with her intuitive knowledge and really relationship with the plant spirits themselves. On top of that, there's that crystal infusion that I believe really amplifies the power of the herbs. Perhaps it's some sort of channel that allows the spirit of the plant to come through even more in these herbs, in these herbal blends. Check them out. She has created different blends, each based on various situations you might find yourself in, wellness situations. There's brain tonic, heart tonics, and just go there and check it out. It's a mystery, actually. It's a surprise. Go there, but listen, when you do go there, you'll see that most people get 20% off and free shipping. But guess what? Because you are a listener of the Midnight on Earth podcast, 30% off and free shipping. Discount code MIDNIGHT, MIDNIGHT. You put that in the discount code box at checkout. 30% off, free shipping, any order. So, whoa, vitalforceherbs.com. And again, Brynn gets to be here to hear me saying these things. Brynn, thank you for being a sponsor of this incredible show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yes, I appreciate you being here. And of course, again, vitalforceherbs.com and social media shout out. You're on the internet. You're looking at Vital Force Herbs. And you also haven't followed me yet on Instagram. Please go do that at midnight_on_earth. Follow me there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you go to get your podcast. Click that button that connects us so you know exactly what's going on. These very special Beyond the News episodes happen. You get that notification instantly to your device. And of course, tell a friend, tell someone that you know that loves these type of podcasts. You know what we're doing. Look what we're doing. You're a longtime listener. You love us. I love you. You're a new listener. You love us. I love you. Help us spread the word. midnightonearth.com. Okay, so we are about to dive into Beyond the News. And this one is going to be a doozy. I'm telling you, people. I don't read these articles fully, but I do arrange them. I do find them, so I kind of know a little bit about the content. And this one is going to blow your mind. They all, always, every Beyond the News, they all always blow our collective minds. It's just going to happen again, I guess, is what I'm saying. So, Brynn Anderson of Vital Force Herbs, are you buckled up, ready to take this Beyond the News ride?
Yes. Super ready. Ready.
Okay, across the universe we go. So I decided this Beyond the News episode to start with just kind of a weird, funny one that's happening in my neck of the woods here in Portland, Oregon, where I currently place my meat suits, housing my light being essence. So here we go. We'll start with the funny one, and then we're going on a magical mystery tour across the universe. How many Beatles references can I use? Down Abbey Road? Anyways, first article. This is CNN.com. Headline: nearly 30 riders were rescued after being stuck upside down on a ride at a Portland amusement park. Yes, people, they were stuck upside down. Nobody died, but here's the article. Almost 30 people were rescued and medically evaluated after being stuck hanging upside down on a ride at an amusement park in Portland. The, quote, atmosphere, spelled F-E-A-R, the atmosphere ride at Oaks Amusement Park stopped at the apex position while operating in the 360-degree setting, suspending 28 riders upside down, the park wrote on X. Portland Fire and Rescue responded about 3:15 p.m. local time after the ride got stuck, according to a post on X. Portland Fire is en route to Oaks Park for a ride that is stuck with multiple riders. At this point, there are no indications of injury, quote, the fire department said. Jordan Harding, 18, thought she would never see her family again while trapped on the ride. Quote, at first, I was like freaking out, but then I was like, it's fine. I thought we'd come down in 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. She said 20 seconds turned into 3 minutes. Then riders started to panic, scream, and call for help. What I was thinking is just like, I'm never going to see my dad again. I'm never going to see my brother again. Like, I'm never going to college. I'm never going to get married. I'm just never going to have these major milestones, she said. I'm 18. I have so much life left to live. Like, I'm going to die like this. Are you joking? I haven't even been graduated for a week. Portland Fire Senate worked with park engineers to lower the ride manually, but also prepared the high-angle rope rescue team to effect rescues with the ride stuck as is if they were unable to manually lower the ride. The ride was manually lowered around 3:24 p.m. according to the fire department. Yay! The Atmosphere ride, in which riders can choose to spin either 360 or 180 degrees, has been closed until further notice according to the park's website. It has been in operation since 2021 and the park had no issues with it, according to the statement from the park. The park said it will work with the manufacturer and state inspectors to identify what caused the incident. And I just want to add an update to that. I heard locally that the ride is now back open, but they're not doing 360 degree turns. They're only doing 180. So hopefully they charge half the amount. So
can you imagine hanging upside down from that?
No,
like hanging
I'd be very frustrated.
It's not a typical place to hang from. Like your hands, your feet, I don't know, but by your stomach organs, that seems pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a whopping headache in addition to just being brutally uncomfortable.
Yeah, people were giving confessions and telling each other their dying wishes and all kinds of interesting things.
It wasn't that big a deal, people. Come on, you survived. They have safety mechanisms in place for things like that. Of course, things are going to fail, but in situations like that, they have insurance, and the insurance requires them to have some sort of backup safety mechanisms in place. So
that doesn't mean when you're hanging upside down for 15 minutes, you don't think you're going to die. You're like 5 minutes. Okay. 10 minutes. Your brain probably goes into like super, animal brain of just full adrenaline. Like, okay, now I'm going to die. And there's no way out of this.
But they didn't. Thankfully. Thank you, God. Okay. Next story. APnews.com headline. Scientists find about 250,000 invisible nanoplastic particles in a liter of bottled water. Dear God. This is kind of bad news. I drink bottled water when I'm at events or on trips sometimes. So I'm sure I have drank quite a bit of these microplastics. So here we go. Let's hear about the article. Because this is something we should be aware of, as these plastics have estrogen mimicking compounds in them. Like, you want to keep adding estrogen into your body. Maybe not a great idea. Here's the article. The average liter of bottled water has nearly 250,000 invisible pieces of ever so tiny nanoplastics detected and categorized for the first time by a microscope using dual lasers. Scientists long figured there were lots of these microscopic plastic pieces, but until researchers at Columbia and Rutgers universities did their calculations, they never knew how many or what kind. Looking at 5 samples each of 3 common bottled water brands, researchers found particle levels ranged from 110,000 to 400,000 per liter, averaging around 240,000 according to a study in Monday's Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. These are particles that are less than a micron in size. There are 25,400 microns, also called micrometers because it is a millionth of a meter in an inch. A human hair is about 83 microns wide. Previous studies have looked at slightly bigger microplastics that range from the visible 5 millimeters, less than a quarter of an inch, to 1 micron, about 10 to 100 times more nanoplastics than microplastics were discovered in bottled water, the study found. Oh my God. Much of the plastic seems to be coming from the bottle itself and the reverse osmosis membrane filter used to keep out other contaminants, says study lead author Nixon Kwan, a Columbia physical chemist. She wouldn't reveal the 3 brands because researchers want more samples before they single out a brand and want to study more brands. Still, she said they were common and bought at a Walmart. Researchers still can't answer the big question. Are those nanoplastic pieces harmful to health? Quote, that's currently under review. We don't know if it's dangerous or how dangerous, said study co-author Phoebe Stapleton, a toxicologist at Rutgers. We do know that they are getting into the tissues of mammal, including people, and the current research is looking at what they're doing in the cells. Oh my God. So there you go, people. 250,000 pieces.
That's wild that a lot of it's coming from the filter itself.
Yes, because the filter's pushing out so much water weight, filtering out these industrial amounts of water, well, commercial amounts of water on an industrial scale. And of course, there's degradation. The plastics degrade. I mean, it's natural. It's part of the process. They're porous. They're not watertight. Water gets in there. The BPA. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is from thedailymail.com. Here is the headline. We're just going to pivot over to Jesus for a second. Is that okay? Actually, first we're going to go into the Garden of Eden. And here's the headline. Was the biblical Garden of Eden in Florida? One minister argued, yes. Really? I've been to Florida. I actually went to the Fountain of Youth where Ponce de Leon felt like he found the Fountain of Youth, but I did not see the Garden of Eden. Of course, the Coral Castle is there, but not that. And here's the article, at least not that I know of. Torreya State Park, nestled in Florida's northern panhandle, was created in the 1930s as a nature preserve, but some say it houses a historical site of biblical proportions. One former lawyer and Baptist minister maintained for decades that this wilderness retreat was the literal site of the Garden of Eden from the Bible's book of Genesis. Flanked by the Apalachicola River and home to the now endangered Torreya tree, the park got new neighbors by 1956 when this minister founded a, quote, Garden of Eden tourist attraction in the nearby town of Bristol, with rates of just $1.10 per ticket. While many biblical scholars and theologians have spent centuries speculating that a true, quote, Garden of Eden once existed in Turkey, Armenia, or at the head of the Persian Gulf, where the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers meet, few have suggested Florida. Really? But Baptist Reverend L.V.E. Calloway, then a retired lawyer, claimed that he had uncovered several geographical features of the local landscape that matched the description of the Garden of Eden as detailed in the Old Testament. Really? Quote, the Garden of Eden, east and west, is not over 10 miles wide, paralleling the Apalachicola River from Chattahoochee down to Bristol, as Reverend Calloway told a reporter for WFSU TV in 1972. At the core of his argument was a passage in the book of Genesis that said, a river watering the garden flowed from Eden, and from there it separated into 4 heads. By Reverend Calloway's analysis, this fourfold split only appears at 2 rivers on Earth, the Apalachicola or another tributary half a world away in Siberia. But Siberia, the former lawyer and one-time devout non-believer believed, was much too cold to be the paradise described in Genesis as the birthplace of humanity, according to one Florida reporter. In his 1971 book, In the Beginning, Reverend Calloway proclaimed that the Apalachicola four-headed river system proves beyond all doubt that the Bible account is true and that the garden was in the Apalachicola Valley of West Florida. Decades prior, Calloway had abandoned his father's strict Baptist church in Alabama and had adopted a secular perspective with plans to leave home to pursue a degree in law. But after World War II, he found himself back in the spiritual life and then buying the very property that would become his Garden of Eden tourist site in northwestern Florida. Interesting. So we'll have to go check this out. Oh, here it closes. Reverend Calloway passed in 1981, and today his Garden of Eden Trail can be hiked as part of the nonprofit Nature Conservancy's Apalachicola Bluffs and Ravines Preserve. And the nearly 4-mile trek still includes a view of the Apalachicola River from Alum Bluff, the spot Calloway long claimed had once been home to Adam and Eve. Now, here's something to think about. He said that place and Siberia. Now, let's rewind geologically to perhaps millions of years. Was Siberia a tropical climate then? But then perhaps it would have different rivers. Who knows? Woof. And it could be on another planet. Who knows? But here is the next one. This actually is very, very interesting. I told you, Brynn, this is going to be interesting. I told you this was going to be really good, captivating. This next one is from NewYorkPost.com. You've probably heard about this. It was kind of a big deal. And if you're Lakota, you definitely heard about this because it was a very big deal. Or if you're Native in other tribes, perhaps you heard about it. I'm sure if you're Lakota, it was like a very big deal. And here's the headline. Rare white bison calf, born in Yellowstone, fulfilling Native American prophecy. And here is the article. A rare white bison calf was born in Yellowstone National Park recently, fulfilling a Native American prophecy of prosperity to come, tribal leaders said. Yes. Montana-based photographer Aaron Broughton discovered the calf shortly after it was born on June 4th in the Lamar Valley, with the snaps showing the small animal taking her first steps beside her dark brown family. Quote, I look and it's this white bison calf, and I was just totally floored, Broughton told the AP. Chief Arvil Looking Horse, the spiritual leader of the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota Oyalte tribes in South Dakota, said the calf's birth signaled the return of a spirit of prosperity akin to the second coming of Jesus Christ. Yes! Horse said that a 2,000-year-old legend describes a, quote, white buffalo calf woman who appeared before the Lakota during a time when food was running out and the bison were disappearing. According to the story, the woman presented the tribe a bowl, pipe, and bundle, teaching them a prayer and telling them that the pipe would lead the buffalo to them to provide sustenance. Wow. When the spirit left, she transformed into a white buffalo, telling the trip that when times are hard again, she, quote, shall return and stand upon the earth as a white buffalo calf, black nose, black eyes, black hooves, Horse said. Horse currently serves as the 19th keeper of the pipe and bundle provided by the white buffalo calf woman. Oh my God, wow. Troy Heinert, the executive director of the Intertribal Buffalo Council, echoed the sacred nature of a white bison, noting that the calf seen in Broughton's photos match the descriptions he's heard passed down in his tribe and not those of an albino buffalo, which sport pink eyes. Quote, from the pictures I've seen, that calf seems to have those traits, Heinert said, adding that a white buffalo is revered by more tribes than just the Lakota. Native American leaders in the region said that a ceremony will be held on June 26th at the Buffalo Field Campaign headquarters in West Yellowstone to celebrate the calf's birth. Wow. It remains unclear how many white buffalo have been born, as park officials and bison experts do not track such a statistic. The National Park Services last flashed the birth of a white buffalo calf named Miracle in 1994 in a Wisconsin farm, claiming it was the first birth of its kind since 1933. Interesting, but was it albino, or did it have the characteristics that they were talking about?
Yes, that is a well-known prophecy amongst many tribes. I actually just recently finished reading the book by Brooke Medicine Eagle, Buffalo Woman Comes Singing, which is much of that book is all about that prophecy and how it started, and that bundle that has been passed down through to different keepers. And there's different bundles, and it's really fascinating. But if you're interested in learning more about that, I definitely recommend that book, Buffalo Woman Comes Singing by Brooke Medicine Eagle.
Wow. I'm going to check that out. I haven't heard of that, but that sounds amazing and very relevant to that article and what's going on. That's a good sign. Again, people.
Yeah, I just finished reading that book a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, wow. And there's the white buffalo already. All right. I read that book right on time. No, I mean, that's something I had been familiar with before that, but the book was a deep dive.
Wow. Okay. People, like I'm saying, no doom and gloom. So many good signs, so much progress, forward expansion, further expression. So here is the next expression. This is from space.com. Headline: DARPA's military-grade quantum laser will use entangled photons to outshine conventional laser beams. Because you think about those laser pointers and even military-grade ones, they have a limit to how far they can go. People use them kind of to signal UFOs and things like that. It doesn't really work like that because the light doesn't go that far. But now with some sort of quantum entanglement, perhaps they can. Here we go. Let's read the article. Researchers are developing a new military-grade quantum laser that can cut through fog and operate across long distances. The U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, has awarded a $1 million grant to scientists building a prototype quantum photonic dimer laser that uses quantum entanglement to, quote, glue light particles together and generate a highly concentrated laser beam. Lasers play a crucial role in military operations and are used in everything from satellite communications and targeting technology to mapping and tracking systems like LiDAR, light detection, and ranging. Conventional lasers work by stimulating electrons in atoms to oscillate in unison. When these electrons move from a high energy state to a low energy state, they release a form of light called coherent light with uniform wavelength and phase. As this light is bounced between mirrors inside the laser device, it is refined into a concentrated laser beam. But by using entangled photons, the quantum photonic dimer laser can maintain precision and strength over greater distances and in adverse conditions, the scientists said in a statement. Quantum lasers could therefore provide better performance for military applications like surveillance and secure communications in harsh environments. Quote, photons encode information when they travel, but the travel through the atmosphere is very damaging to them. Project lead Tung Sung Shen, associate professor of electrical and systems engineering at Washington University in St. Louis, said. He continues, when two photons are bound together, they still suffer the effects of the atmosphere, but they can protect each other. So some of that phase information can still be preserved. Interesting. The two-color photonic dimer laser works by bonding pairs of photons, fundamental particles that represent the smallest building blocks of electromagnetic radiation, through a process called quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is a strange and complex phenomenon in the field of quantum mechanics that occurs when two or more particles become interconnected in such a way that one particle instantly influences the state of the other, regardless of the distance between them. When two photons are linked together through quantum entanglement, they create what are known as photonic dimers, the researchers said. Wow. These pairs of photons are easier to manipulate because they act as a single entity, with any change applied to one photon directly affecting the other. Oh my God. Wow. Photonic space lasers. Holy shit, man.
Is that your new band name?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Photonic lasers.
Photonic space lasers.
Sure.
Better. Yeah.
Okay.
Go with that one.
Well, you can have it actually if you want. Merry Christmas, Brynn.
Thanks.
Brynn of photonicspacelasers.com. Yeah. Okay, listen, this is the next one because it's going to get weirder from here. As if it wasn't weird already, it's going to get weirder. Insiderpaper.com. Headline, Pentagon contractor reveals encounter with a blue UFO emitting energy that can, quote, power a small city. I heard about this. So here we are, engaging with it. Here we go. Here's the article. A U.S. Department of Defense contractor had a fascinating encounter with a giant glowing UFO. It led to 10 years of research and 2 patents inspired by it. 3 witnesses, including the Pentagon engineer, reported capturing electronic evidence of a barbell UFO. It was half the length of a football field and glowed an eerie indigo blue. They said the craft flew silently over an old logging road in southwestern Ontario, Canada on August 28, 2013, near their hunting campsite. Quote, they captured data of the event, the witness reported, and it may be the first real physical proof of not just a flying craft, but it may be the first real physical proof of not just a craft flying, but that it flies by virtue of an incredibly complex and powerful spinning electromagnetic propulsion system. Yeah, everybody knows about this, buddy. Like, this is like, go take the deep dive into ufology. It's called a Mercury vortex engine, and there's other ones as well. Why are we just hearing about this now if it happened in 2013? Because it's coming out in a new book. Here we go. DailyMail.com spoke with the initial investigators of the case. They shared electronic data from the contractor's attempt to film the UFO. The video showed white noise pulses recurring in 1-second loops, matching the strobing light from the UFO. Yes, I've seen them strobe. The real ones strobe and they spin. The investigation was led by the same nanotechnology expert whose analysis of a 2007 mass UFO sighting in Texas was featured in the Steven Spielberg-produced UFO docuseries Encounters on Netflix last year. Yeah, I missed that one. Quote, is there another barbell case we've investigated like this? UFO investigator Robert Powell told the Daily Mail of this rare case. No, it is the only one. Interesting. Okay. Blue barbells. Well, let's keep the alien theme going. This is really the big theme part of this Beyond the News episode. This is from dailymail.co.uk. The other one seemed to be reporting on an article, which seems to be an interesting internet thing. Here's the headline. Donald Trump reveals whether he believes in aliens and opens up on discussions with, quote, handsome fighter jet pilots who claim to have seen UFOs. Okay.
That's an interesting... Only the handsome ones? Or like...
Let's find out. Here's the article. Donald Trump has opened up on the potential existence of aliens and revealed discussions he has had with, quote, serious fighter jet pilots who claim to have seen UFOs in America. The former president appeared as a guest on YouTuber turned WWE star Logan Paul's podcast on Thursday And no subject was off the table as they discussed the war in Gaza, Joe Biden, America's drug crisis, and deep fakes. Trump was even quizzed on extraterrestrials and asked whether he believes in the existence of aliens, UFOs, or UAPs. Quote, "It's such an interesting question," Trump began. Let me see if I can do my Trump impression here. "I've met with pilots that look just like you. These are perfect people, not conspiratorial. They're not crazy. Like beautiful Tom Cruise, but taller. Okay, handsome, perfect people. They say, sir, there was something there that was round and going 4 times faster than my super jet fighter plane. And I look at these guys and they really mean it." How'd I do, Brynn? Was that Trumpish? How'd I do?
I think you did okay.
Okay, there's more of me doing it. Here we go. Am I a believer? No. I can't say I am, but I have met with people that are serious, people that say there's some really strange things that they see flying around out there.
You don't sound like it at all now.
Oh, shit. Trump then goes on to discuss Roswell, an area in New Mexico that has become a popular tourist attraction following the events and myths surrounding the 1947 crash of a U.S. Air Force balloon. Yeah, anyways, thank you, Daily Mail. We know it was a UFO. Oh, back to me being Trump. I think it's the #1 tourist attraction in America, the lines of people waiting, Trump revealed before being asked if he has access to government information regarding the potential of alien life. "I have access and I speak to people about it. I've had actual meetings on it, and they will tell you there's something going on when they say things are going 4 times faster than my beautiful top-of-the-line airplane. People that are very smart and very solid have said they believe there's something out there, and it makes sense that there could be I've never been convinced. For some reason, it's not my thing, but a lot of people believe that it's true. A lot of very good, solid people believe that it's true." Brynn, did I do better on that? How'd I do on that part?
You know, some of it.
You know, I don't do politics. I just stay out of politics. So I'm neutral, people. Look, I just stay out of politics. I'm quantum. I'm omnipresent. I'm outside of time and the human experience, okay? I'm a light being. I'm an alien. I'm a Pleiadian, galactic, coming to help you. And I just don't even want to go there. So here we go. But I'm glad you like that. Hopefully you got to laugh. Because let me tell you, there's no other podcast host out there that's as good or even knows. Look, let me tell you something. I know every podcast host. I've been on every podcast out there. Everyone. There's nothing like Midnight on Earth. Nothing. Are you kidding me? How'd I do it? Brynn, what do you think? Okay, I guess that's the answer.
How's that coffee, Jake?
Oh, man. Did you like, so you feel like that was it? But my Trump was on point on that one? Maybe? Okay.
Sure.
All right, let's just move on. IndiaTimes.com. Do you know what a Dyson sphere is? Dyson spheres. Scientists may have found evidence of alien megastructures in Milky Way. Yeah, that's our hometown. Article. In what could be a major development in the quest for extraterrestrial life, a group of researchers has identified at least 7 stars that might be surrounded by advanced alien megastructures known as Dyson spheres. Dyson spheres were first proposed by the physicist Freeman Dyson in 1960 as a way for advanced civilization to harness a star's power. A Dyson sphere is a hypothetical megastructure an alien civilization could build around a star or black hole to capture most of its power in the form of radiation. According to a new study published last month, researchers argued that they have identified 7 candidates, holy smokes, that could potentially be hosting Dyson spheres. 7? Oh, where's Art Bell? The spirit of Art Bell. He talked about Dyson spheres so much. 7 now, Art. For the study, the scientists looked at historical data from 5 million stars in the Milky Way galaxy using telescopes that pick up infrared signatures. Quote, so far we have 7 sources that we know are glowing in the infrared, but we don't know why, so they stand out, the study said. The 7 candidates are all M dwarf stars, meaning they're both smaller and dimmer than our sun. The researchers, however, stopped well short of claiming these extremely heated dwarf stars are surrounded by Dyson spheres. Instead, they emphasized they're just candidates. Quote, there are several natural explanations for the infrared excess in literature, but none of them clearly explains such a phenomenon in the candidates, especially given that all are M dwarfs, the researchers wrote. According to the original theory, alien civilizations could use Dyson spheres to acquire millions of times more solar energy than we have access to on Earth, while also giving themselves a spiffy new structure to live on. Who wrote this? But no energy collection or usage system is perfect. So while the Dyson sphere collects radiation from the star on its inside, it also emits heat from its outside. And that's what we pick up. Interesting. Okay, and this next one is something I heard about recently. And it's just, I believe, perhaps another indicator of the progress towards disclosure. This is ndtv.com. Headline, aliens might be living among us, quote, disguised as humans, claims Harvard study. And the subheadline is, the research also explores the idea that UFOs or UAPs could be spaceships visiting Earth-based alien friends. Oh, they're just stopping by and checking on their relatives. I see all this time, and grabbing some cow parts on the way out.
Love how they're slowly seeping out this information. Like, oh, it's a study. It's actually this formal study we've done.
And they slapped the Harvard title on it,
right.
And that adds this
professionalism
level of legitimacy as well, I believe. Yes, both. But here's the article. Let's listen. Let's see what happens here. The possibility of extraterrestrial life has always fascinated humans, and we've been searching for alien life for some time now. However, despite decades of research, we still don't have a concrete answer to the question of whether we are alone in the universe. Now, a Harvard University study has claimed that aliens could be living among humans secretly on Earth. Brynn, I have something to tell you. Listen, people.
Let me guess.
My people, my listeners, look. Oh, never mind. A new paper by researchers at Harvard University's Human Flourishing Program posits that, quote, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, more commonly referred to as UFOs, and extraterrestrial beings could be living underground, on the moon, or even walking among humans. The research also explores the idea that UFOs or UAPs could be spaceships visiting Earth-based alien friends. The paper states, quote, the author became increasingly aware of the depth of evidence and theory that also tentatively supports another extraterrestrial explanation, the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, which holds that UAP may reflect activities of NHIs concealed here on Earth, underground, and in its environment. The study further investigated the concept of so-called crypto-terrestrials, beings that may be living among us disguised as humans, originating from Earth's future or descending from intelligent dinosaurs. Oh my God. They're letting the floodgates out. Oh my God. Well, something must be coming. Something's coming, people. They're letting out everything. The study claims that crypto-terrestrials can come in 4 forms. 1, human crypto-terrestrials, a technologically advanced ancient human civilization that was largely destroyed long ago but continues to exist in remnant form, which is what people say about the Himalayas, that ancient elders and people from the antediluvian times, pre-flood, are there watching over us.
Atlantis.
Exactly, Brynn. Atlantis, Lemuria. Exactly, all of those places. Number 2, hominid or theropod cryptoterrestrials. A technologically advanced non-human civilization consisting of some terrestrial animal which evolved to live in stealth, potentially underground. These could be an ape-like hominid descendant or descendants of, quote, unknown intelligent dinosaurs. Oh my God, people. What is happening right now?
But ape-like hominid, that sounds like Sasquatch, right?
Well, but they're saying hyper advanced. So they're saying like hyper advanced apes, like beyond Planet of the Apes, like hominids, but highly advanced, able to actually have UFO-like technology and unknown intelligent dinosaurs. Hello, people, the reptilians. Come on. Holy shit. I told you this was going to be a good one. Number 3, former extraterrestrial or extratempestrial cryptoterrestrials. These beings couldn't have arrived on Earth from elsewhere in the cosmos or from the human future and concealed themselves in stealth, such as in the moon. What in the name of Christ? Oh my God. Number 4, magical cryptoterrestrials. What? Entities that are less like homegrown aliens and more like earthbound angels. These beings relate to the human world in ways that are less technological and more magical, such as fairies, elves, nymphs. The researchers admitted that their research was, quote, likely to be regarded skeptically by most scientists, but urged the scientific community to consider their claim in a spirit of epistemic humility and openness. The paper is yet to be peer-reviewed. Wow. Whoa. That's Harvard. And they just slapped that out there in the mainstream consciousness. Okay. The next one is futurism.com. Now we're looking at Japan's work in space. Here is the headline. Japan's Venus probe goes mysteriously missing. Uh-oh. Here is the article. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's Akatsuki space probe, which is the sole ongoing mission to the planet Venus, may be on its last legs. In an update on X, JAXA's Institute of Space and Astronautical Science said that it lost contact with Akatsuki, quote, after an operation in late April due to an extended period of low attitude stability control mode. But it's not a lost cause yet, and the Institute is, quote, currently making efforts to reestablish communication with the spacecraft. Should the probe remain silent, however, its loss will mean that humanity will be cut off from its sole source of up-close observations of the strange, hellish planet. Officially known as the Venus Climate Orbiter mission, the satellite was launched by JAXA in 2010 and after a few screw-ups entered orbit around its destination planet in 2015. Though its form is unassuming, essentially a tiny box no more than 5 feet in each direction, the sturdy little probe came stacked with 5 cameras, which it used to tirelessly image the Venusian atmosphere. Its contributions have been invaluable to astronomers, especially considering lengthy Venus missions are few and far between. Our most detailed images of its surface come from NASA's Magellan spacecraft from all the way back in the early 1990s. To put things in perspective, it's not a very welcoming planet. The Venusian atmosphere is so thick with carbon dioxide that the pressures it creates can crush metal. Temperatures are hot enough to even melt some metals too, often exceeding 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, there's its haze of corrosive clouds that make observing its surface extremely difficult. Even orbiting it can be dangerous. But as hostile as the planet is to seemingly anything that gets near it, we can't help but be fascinated by it. It's our planet's twin with a similar size, mass, and composition, and it also happens to be right next door. If JAXA's probe can't be recovered, it wouldn't come as an unexpected loss. Akatsuki has already long outlived its originally projected lifespan of 4.5 years. Now, nearly a decade of faithful service later, no one can blame the poor thing for calling in a late retirement. Still, it'll leave behind a large gap. NASA plans to launch 2 missions to Venus, Da Vinci and Veritas, but those aren't expected to take off any sooner than 2029 and 2031, respectively. One can only hope then that Akatsuki sticks around until there's a worthy successor. Interesting. So now we go from Japan to China. This is really interesting. Oh, this is actually historical. NewYorkPost.com. Headline: China's lunar probe returns to Earth with first ever rock samples from dark side of the moon. Oh, Pink Floyd would be proud. Okay. And here's the article. So they made it to the far side of the moon, and now they brought back a sample. That were 2 historical things. Here's the article. China's Chang'e 6 lunar probe has successfully returned to Earth with the first rock and soil samples ever collected from the far side of the moon. The re-entry capsule containing the samples, believed to be up to 2.5 million years old, landed in the country's Inner Mongolia region on Tuesday in a major victory for the China National Space Administration. Quote, I now declare that the Chang'e 6 lunar exploration mission achieved complete success. Zhang Qijan, director of the China National Space Administration, said in a televised news conference after the landing. Chinese scientists hope they will be able to learn about the geographical differences between the 2 sides of the moon and offer some insight into its ancient history. The near side faces Earth and the far side faces outer space. While the moon does spin on its own axis, the moon rotates at the same rate as its orbital motion, meaning the same side always faces the Earth. The far side of the moon, whose surface has never been explored, is known to have large mountains and deep craters compared to the relative flatness of the near side. Well, how would they know that if they've never been there?
That's a great question. I was just wondering that. Like, how do they know that if they've never been there?
The unmanned probe, launched on May 3rd, landed on the moon's South Pole Aitken Basin, an impact crater formed more than 4 billion years ago when the Earth was still in its infancy. It remained in space for 53 days. The samples scientists are expecting will likely come from different layers of the basin, which will bear traces of the different geological events across its long cosmic history, such as when the moon was younger and had an active core that produced volcanic rock. The samples, quote, are expected to answer one of the most fundamental scientific questions in lunar science research. What geologic activity is responsible for the differences between the 2 sides? Said Zhonggu Yu, a geologist at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, in a statement issued in the Innovation Monday, a journal published in partnership with the China Academy of Sciences. China is the first country to land on the moon's far side, with the previous being U.S. and Soviet missions, all landing on the near side. The moon program is part of a growing rivalry with the U.S., still the leader in space exploration, and other nations, including Japan and India. China's leader Xi Jinping congratulated the Chang'e team, saying the mission was a landmark achievement in our country's efforts at becoming a space and technological power. Quote, this is a global first in the sense that it's the first time anyone has been able to take off from the far side of the moon and bring back samples, Richard de Greece, a professor of astrophysics at Macquarie University in Australia, told the Associated Press. Wow. Brynn, we're on the far side of the moon as humans. I mean, China's there. and they're bringing back far side space rocks. What do you think's happening over there?
I think they've already been bringing back far side space rocks for a while.
Are there beings living in the moon like the last article is talking about?
Probably, yeah. I think anything we're hearing now is like a good 30 years plus old.
Yeah, it seems like everything's unlocking. Like all of a sudden they're just going to be like, oh yeah, of course Atlantis was real. Of course Lemur. Of course there's galactics. Like, of course there's like it's all going to be super normalized. Like, of course it was all like that. It seems.
Right. I know it makes me wonder if they're like putting out all this information, little bits and pieces, and then one day they're just going to flip a switch and be like, yep, so we got these bases on the moon. So we got these, crazy technology spaceships and future people coming to visit. And we've got these dinosaurs and all this stuff. And yeah, that's just how it is. Anyways, next on the 5 o'clock news or whatever. Yeah, that's going to be weird. Get ready, people.
Get ready for this one. Space.com. We're going to continue on the China part. Headline, China's space plane releases another mystery object into orbit. Another one. They're just dropping random shit into the atmosphere, it seems. Here's the article. The experimental orbital plane named Shenlong, which means divine dragon in Chinese, has been in orbit for 168 days. Space activity tracker Jonathan McDowell first spotted the spacecraft's recent activity on May 24th. The new object has since been cataloged as 59884 by the U.S. Space Force Space Domain Awareness Teams, Space News reported. Quote, the object could be a some-satellite deployment or it could be a piece of hardware ejected prior to end of mission and deorbit. McDowell, who is an astronomer from the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, said in a post on X, will be interesting to see if the plane maneuvers or lands soon. Another possible explanation is the space plane released the object for proximity and recapture maneuver tests similar to those completed during its second flight, which launched in 2022 and spanned 276 days in Earth's orbit. The reusable space plane is currently conducting its third mission, which launched aboard a Long March 2F rocket from the Jinquan Satellite Launch Center on December 14, 2023. I think we covered that around that time. While China has maintained strict secrecy surrounding the spacecraft, a launch report suggested the mission would conduct reusable technology verification and space science experiments to provide technical support for the peaceful use of space, according to Space News. Oh my God. Okay, and this is a two-parter, kind of. MSN.com. Headline, Elon Musk predicts humans will be living on Mars in next 30 years. And here's the article. Tech mogul Elon Musk has boldly stated that we could see humans living on Mars within the next 30 years. The SpaceX chief recently replied to a tweet suggesting, quote, we are just a few years away from landing on Mars. The 52-year-old visionary commented, less than 5 years for uncrewed, less than 10 to land people, maybe a city in 20 years, but for sure in 30, civilization secured. SpaceX, Musk's brainchild since 2002, made history as the first private outfit to send a liquid-fueled rocket into orbit and shuttle astronauts to the International Space Station. Even before SpaceX's inception, Musk was already dreaming of a verdant Mars with his Mars Oasis initiative and ambition to germinate the first seeds on alien ground within a greenhouse. Musk's whopping 183 million followers are abuzz with excitement over his recent space forecasts, with one enthusiast tweeting, quote, unimaginable for so many, hoping I'll live another 10 years just to see the advancement, reports the Daily Star. Another chimed in, quote, between AI, VR, and now Mars, I didn't expect any of them to happen in my lifetime. It's pretty incredible. Wow, it is incredible. But again, it was supposed to already happen in our lifetime. At least that's what they told us when we were kids.
Yeah, like I've said before, I had that poster in my 6th grade classroom with like apartment buildings on Mars. I was like, you could be here. Every time we washed our hands in the classroom, that poster was like over the sink, and I would look at it and be like, really? Are we really going to be in apartment buildings on Mars? And by the time I'm a grown up, here we are talking about it, I guess.
Wait, but are you saying you're grown up? Is that what you're trying?
I'm talking about from my like 11, 12-year-old perspective, thinking back then at that time.
Got it. Well, who knows what'll happen, because listen to this. This is part 2.
Okay.
Okay, this is yahoo.com. Headline, human missions to Mars in doubt after astronaut kidney shrinkage revealed. Uh-oh. I just got to find guys with really big kidneys or ladies. And here's the article. Human missions to Mars could be at risk after new research revealed that long-duration space travel can impact the structure of astronauts' kidneys. Samples from more than 40 space missions involving humans and mice revealed that kidneys are remodeled by the conditions in space, with certain parts showing signs of shrinkage after less than a month in space. The findings could jeopardize plans by SpaceX and NASA to send crewed missions to Mars in the coming decades, with SpaceX boss Elon Musk recently claiming that it could be possible within the next 10 to 20 years, as I was just saying. Scientists at University College London who carried out the study said that serious health risks are more likely to emerge the longer that an astronaut is exposed to the extreme conditions of space. Future missions to Mars were not ruled out, though the scientists said that measures to protect the kidneys would need to be developed to avoid serious harm to astronauts. Methods of recovery could also be introduced on board spacecraft, such as dialysis machines. Quote, we know what has happened to astronauts on the relatively short space missions conducted so far, in terms of an increase in health issues such as kidney stones, said Dr. Keith Siu, first author of the study from the London Tubular Center based at the UCL Department of Renal Medicine. Quote, what we don't know is why these issues occur, nor what is going to happen to astronauts on longer flights, such as the proposed mission to Mars. If we don't develop new ways to protect the kidneys, I'd say that while an astronaut could make it to Mars, they might need dialysis on the way back. We know that the kidneys are late to show signs of radiation damage. By the time this becomes apparent, it's probably too late to prevent failure, which could be catastrophic for the mission's chances of success. Peter Stephen Walsh, senior author of the study from the London Tubular Center, UCL Department of Renal Medicine, said, our study highlights the fact that if you're planning a space mission, kidneys really matter. You can't protect them from galactic radiation using shielding, but as we learn more about renal biology, it may be possible to develop technological or pharmaceutical measures to facilitate extended space travel. Wow. Interesting. So the kidneys are going to shrink on the way to Mars.
Yeah, there's so much water and mineral balance that affects the kidneys. I could imagine that would be so much different in space. Like the amount of calcium you absorb, the amount of water that circulates, like all that functioning has got to be different without gravity or with different amounts of pressure and all that. So I imagine the kidneys are probably not the only thing that are going to be affected. Obviously, they've already studied muscle mass and, some of the other things that are affected. But yeah, I'm sure all the organs are affected in strange ways.
Well, let's pivot away from space kidneys to another space thing. We're still in space. People did a lot of space this episode. This is from the debrief.org, and it has been reported, of course, many other places. Headline, first ever Earth-sized planet orbiting a sun-like star has been discovered lurking in our solar backyard. They're letting it out, people, like you were saying, Brynn. They've now found a planet very close to us that's orbiting a sun that's very much like ours. Here's the article. Astronomers have discovered an Earth-sized planet orbiting a star similar to the sun, only 73 light years away. Previous studies using the Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite had spotted two larger planets around the star in 2020. The new planet was discovered during follow-up observations designed to confirm the earlier findings. Astronomers have previously found Earth-sized planets around distant stars, but nearly all of those have been found orbiting smaller, cooler red dwarf stars instead of G-type main sequence stars like our sun. The relatively close nature of the new find also opens up opportunities to study the planet more closely with hopes that it can offer previously unavailable insights. Quote, "It's a useful planet because it may be like an early Earth," explained Melinda Soares-Furtado, a NASA Hubble Fellow at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and the lead author of the paper describing the unique discovery. In their study, published in the Astronomical Journal, Soares-Furtado, her colleague Benjamin Kappenstraut, and an international team of researchers explain how they made the unexpected discovery and how the find could offer up clues to the Earth's formation. For example, the new planet, dubbed HD 63433D, you all gotta love the names, is similar in size to Earth. However, the planet is much closer to its host star than Earth, orbiting star HD 63433 every 4.2 days. According to the researchers, that makes it unlikely to look at for life as we know it. Quote, "Even though it's really close orbiting, we can use follow-up data to search for evidence of outgassing and atmospheric loss that could be important constraints on how terrestrial worlds evolve." But that's where the similarities with Earth end dramatically. Okay, wow, interesting. Yeah, another exoplanet. Okay, maybe there's not life on that one until they find life on it. Well, actually, we thought.
They always say life as we know it.
As we know it, yes.
Right. They're like, oh, but wait, we just found life as we didn't know it, but now we know it. So there's a different definition for that.
Okay, back to Earth. And I told you we were going to talk about Jesus after that other article. This from livescience.com. Headline, newly deciphered papyrus describes miracle performed by 5-year-old Jesus. And here's the article. I've heard about this. Scholars have deciphered and published a papyrus fragment containing part of the infancy gospel of Thomas, which tells stories from Jesus' childhood. Written in Greek, the papyrus fragment dates to the 4th or 5th century, making it the earliest copy of this gospel known to exist, scholars wrote in a paper recently published in a journal. Other copies of the gospel exist, but they date to later times. Churches did not include this gospel in the Bible, really. You mean I just didn't hear about the 5-year-old Jesus story until now? Actually, it's a story that's been around for a while. It is the earliest preserved manuscript of the text in any language. Lajos Berkes, a lecturer at the Institute for Christianity and Antiquity at the Humboldt University of Berlin, and Gabriel Nochi Macedo, a papyrology professor at the University of Liège in Belgium, wrote in the study. Scholars generally believe that the infancy gospel of Thomas was originally composed in the 2nd century. Part of the reason is because some of the stories told in the gospel sound similar to the stories that 2nd century Christian writers wrote about. The papyrus fragment tells of a miracle that Jesus performed when he was a child. In the story told in the fragment, quote, Jesus plays at the ford of a rushing stream and molds 12 sparrows from the soft clay he finds in the mud. When his father Joseph rebukes him and asks him why he is doing such things on the holy Sabbath, the 5-year-old Jesus claps his hands and brings the clay figures to life, according to a statement from Humboldt University of Berlin. Scholars are already aware of this story from later copies of the gospel. Yes, I've heard this as well. While this fragment mentions only this particular miracle, later copies of the gospel tell of many other miraculous acts that Jesus performed as a child. These include bringing a child named Zeno back to life and instantly healing his father Joseph after he was bitten by a poisonous snake. The origin of the fragment is uncertain. we, quote, know close to nothing about the provenance of the papyrus, its history, or its ownership. All we know for sure is that it originated in Egypt. It might have arrived in Hamburg either when the core of the papyrological collection was acquired between 1906 and 1939, or in 1990 when a box of unconserved papyri was transferred from Berlin. In the study, the scholars said they are confident that the fragment was in Germany prior to World War II. One of the reasons that the papyrus was investigated earlier is that the handwriting is messy and it looks more like a private letter or shopping list than a gospel, the researchers said in a statement. The scholars think it may have been a writing exercise, possibly done by someone in a school or monastery. Interesting. Many scholars agree that the fragment is an ancient manuscript and not a modern day forgery. Wow. Yeah, Jesus did a lot of things as a kid, supposedly, including living in ancient Egypt, by the way. So now we're back on Earth. Let's pivot to modern times. SciTechDaily.com headline, hard yet stretchable. Scientists create unbreakable new material. And here's the article. Researchers have developed a new class of materials known as glassy gels, which combine the hardness of glassy polymers with the stretchability of gels. Interesting. These materials maintain over 50% liquid content, enhancing their elasticity and adhesive properties. The fabrication process involves mixing polymer precursors with an ionic liquid and curing with ultraviolet light, allowing for easy production and potential for widespread application in industries like electronics and medical devices. Gels and glassy polymers are classes of materials that have historically been viewed as distinct from one another. Glassy polymers are hard, stiff, and often brittle. They're used to make things like water bottle or airplane windows. Oh, the kind that have microplastics in them. Gels, such as contact lenses, contain liquid and are soft and stretchy. Glassy gels, as the name suggests, are effectively a material that combines some of the most attractive properties of both glassy polymers and gels to make them. The researchers start with the liquid precursors of glassy polymers and mix them with an ionic liquid. This combined liquid is poured into a mold and exposed to ultraviolet light, which cures the material. The mold is then removed, leaving behind the glassy gel. The ionic liquid is like a solvent like water, but it is made entirely of ions. Normally, when you add solvent to a polymer, the solvent pushes apart the polymer chains, making the polymer soft and stretchable. That's why a wet contact lens is pliable and a dry contact lens isn't. In glassy gels, the solvent pushes the molecular chains in the polymer apart, which allows it to be stretchable like a gel. However, the ions in the solvent are strongly attracted to the polymer, which prevents the polymer chains from moving. The inability of change to move is what makes it glassy. Whoa! Hard and stretchy. Whoa! So it's beyond plastic now. We have glassy polymers, glassy gels. Oh my God, it has water in it just like us. We have water in it. Water goes in and water comes out. And usually you don't want the water that comes out to go back in anytime soon unless you have this suit. So here we go. Interestingengineering.com. Headline. Engineers make, quote, dune still suit that turns pea sweat into drinkable water. Not pea sweat, but pee and sweat. You ready, Brynn?
Are you going to be the first one to try this?
I already did.
Really? How did it work for you?
I'm still here. It's a still suit. I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay, here's the article. YouTube channel Hacksmith Industries has successfully jerry-rigged a working still suit inspired by the Dune science fiction universe.
The word jerry-rigged doesn't make me feel very confident.
I know. I would not drink that pee. No offense, guys. Using a combination of computer parts and health and safety personal protective equipment, their still suit made drinkable water from the wearer's sweat, breath, and pee. In Frank Herbert's 1965 epic Dune, Still suits are essentially survival gear for the inhabitants of the fictional desert planet of Arrakis. According to the lore, these suits can recycle most of the wearer's body moisture to enable them to survive the harsh environments. However, while fictional, the team at Hacksmith Industries thought they'd try making a working prototype. Surprisingly, they were pretty much able to make the concept work. While their prototype isn't anywhere as cool as the ones featured in the film adaptations of the novel, they were able to function as intended. However, with much less efficiency than presumably the real still suit would function. The team achieved this feat by combining a Tyvek still suit with an off-the-shelf Dune costume for much-needed aesthetics. The still suit business end consists of a thermoelectric cooler that condenses water vapor out of the air inside the suit. They do this through a completely different approach to compressors you'll be familiar with in your fridge or air conditioning units. These devices are designed to cool computers and other electronics by running an electrical charge through two different types of metal. When in operation, one side of the device gets hot while the other is cold. When tested on the workbench, it could condense water droplets out of the air relatively quickly. The team integrated this device into the suit by exposing the cold side inside the suit and the hot end outside. The team then fashioned a way to collect the liquid water into a drinkable bladder within the suit. This was combined with an inline water filter purchased from a local sports supply shop, but they're not really explaining how to drink the urine. So, maybe they didn't drink it like they said. Well, humans and the relationship with food, water, liquids. It's so strange. This is from Phys, P-H-Y-S, phys.org. Headline, Meaty Rice. South Korean professor aims to change global protein. Oh my God. What is this pink rice, Brynn? You ready to eat some meaty rice?
Probably not, but tell me what it is.
Okay, here we go. Here's the article. In a small laboratory in Seoul, a team of South Korean scientists are injecting cultured beef cells into individual grains of rice in a process they hope could revolutionize how the world eats. From helping prevent famines to feeding astronauts in space, team leader and Professor Hong-Shin Ki believes his new so-called meaty rice could become an eco-friendly, ethical way for people to get their protein. No animals were harmed in the creation of the dish, which looks like a regular bowl of rice, albeit pink, but it gives off a faint buttery aroma, the result of being packed with beef, muscle, and fat cell culture. Using cultured meat, quote, we can obtain animal protein without the slaughter of livestock. Hong of Seoul's Yonsei University told AFP, wow, this is the lab-grown meat fused into rice now.
Yeah, but they originally say they have to use fetal bovine serum in order to make the lab-grown meat.
Of course.
So that's actually not at all true.
We've covered that.
I know, but just point that out. This article is missing that critical piece of information if you were to think you were eating meat that's not meat because it actually came from meat.
Oh, I know, but pink
FYI.
Lab-grown meat rice, I don't know.
No thanks.
But check this out. Companies worldwide have sought to commercialize meat alternatives such as plant-based or cultured meat due to ethical issues surrounding industrial livestock rearing, as well as environmental concerns linked to the greenhouse gas emissions from animal farming. Hong, who has a background in organoids and biomedical sciences, chose rice for his research as the grain was already the top source of protein for people in Asia. His process can be currently time-consuming. A regular rice grain is coated with fish gelatin to help with adherence, then individually injected with beef cells before being cultured in a petri dish for up to 11 days. Rice possesses a, quote, slightly porous structure, Hong said, and once the beef cells have been injected into the rice, the grain offers an ideal structure for cells to grow uniformly from the inside out. Oh my God. Hong's, quote, meaty rice contains 8% more protein and 7% more fat than regular rice. Wow. Hong and his team are still working on how to scale the process, he said, but he hopes to get its creation approved as a relief food for emergency situations in 2 African countries. Quote, for those who are limited to just 1 meal a day, a slight increase in protein content, even by a few percent, becomes incredibly important. South Korea has not yet approved any cultivated meat for consumption, but it announced in 2022 plans to plow millions of dollars into a food tech fund while separately identifying cell-cultured meat as a priority research area. Cultivated meat is sold in Singapore and the United States, but Italy banned it last year, citing a need to safeguard the livestock industry. Some scholars say potential ethical concerns with cultured meat include the sourcing of the initial animal cells, as Brynn was saying, but he still faces challenges such as needing to be producing at scale and cheap with low energy needs, he told AFP. Wow. That's disgusting, people. And while we're putting meat into rice to make it fattier and more proteiny, let's mess with some other stuff. How about that? This is again from phys.org, back to back. Headline, research team uses CRISPR to alter photosynthesis for the first time. Oh my God. And here's the article. A team from the Innovative Genomics Institute at the University of California, Berkeley, has produced an increase in gene expression in a food crop by changing its upstream regulatory DNA. While other studies have used CRISPR gene editing to knock out or decrease the expression of genes, new research published in Science Advances is the first unbiased gene editing approach to increase gene expression and downstream photosynthetic activity. Quote, tools like CRISPR are accelerating our ability to fine-tune gene expression in crops rather than just knocking out genes or turning them off. Past research has shown that this tool can be used to decrease expression of genes involved in important trade-offs, such as those between plant architecture and fruit size, said Dhruv Patel, lead author on the study and former postdoctoral researcher in the Niyogi lab at UCB. Quote, this is the first study to our knowledge where we asked if we can use the same approach to increase the expression of a gene and improve downstream activity in an unbiased way. Unlike synthetic biology strategies that use genes from other organisms to improve photosynthesis, the genes involved in the photoprotection process are naturally found in all plants. Inspired by a 2018 Nature Communications paper that improved the water use efficiency of a model crop by overexpressing one of these genes, PSBS, in plants, the Niyogi lab and its leader, Chris Niyogi, wanted to figure out how to change the expression of a plant's native genes without adding foreign DNA. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, rice supplies at least 20% of the world's calories, and because it has only one copy of each of the 3 photoprotection genes in plants, it was an ideal model system for this gene editing study. The Niyogi lab pursued this work as part of Realizing Increased Photosynthetic Efficiency, RIPE, an international research project led by the University of Illinois that aims to increase global food production by developing food crops that turn the sun's energy into food more efficiently, with support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Oh my God, and other ones. The lab's plan was to use CRISPR to change the DNA upstream of the target gene, which controls how much of the gene is expressed and when. They wondered if making those changes would have an impact and by how much. Even they were surprised by the results. Quote, the changes in the DNA that increased gene expression were much bigger than we expected and bigger than we've really seen reported in other similar stories, said Patel. We were a little bit surprised, but I think it goes to show how much plasticity plants and crops have. They're used to these big changes in their DNA from millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of domestication. As plant biologists, we can leverage that wiggle room to make large changes in just a handful of years to help plants grow more efficiently or adapt to climate changes. Whoa, people. Whoa. Okay. Well, this one's a little bit funny because we're messing with plants' DNA. So let's just stick with plants. This is the segue, is the plants. So here's the next one, and Brynn's going to love this one. This is from BBC.com. Headline, nettle eaters vie for the title of world champion.
Whoa.
Did you know about this, Brynn?
I don't actually.
Do you know what stinging nettle is?
Of course I do.
I know, you're an herbalist.
Several of my blends have it in my yard. Yeah, totally.
Okay, listen to this. Here's the article. Contestants are gathering in Dorset in the hope of being crowned a world champion by eating stinging nettles. The World Nettle Eating Championships are being held at the Dorset Nectar Cider Farm in Waytown near Bridport. Foolhardy participants have 30 minutes to eat as many leaves as possible before the empty stalks are counted. They are given cider to help wash down the nettles and relieve the pain. Reigning women's champion Bethan Hodges will be traveling from Wales to defend her title. She had been on a camping holiday with friends when she entered and won last year's contest, consuming an eye-watering 60 feet of nettles. She said, quote, I still had little bits of stinging nettle in my fingers for a few days afterwards. That was the most lasting injury. My tongue recovered quite quickly, but it was very green afterwards. Also returning this year is Rob Casey, who said, who doesn't like a free lunch? The sting is on the hairs inside the nettles, so if you can fold it up, that helps. Also, dipping the nettles in cider moistens them because the drynness is also quite painful. It minimizes the pain, but it does still hurt. Oh my, who thought of this concept? Formerly held at the Bonnell Inn at Marshwood, which has since closed, the tradition dating back to the 1980s has been taken over by Ryan Strong at the nearby Dorset Nectar Cider Farm. He said, we wanted to bring it back and make sure it wasn't lost. Last year, we cut something ridiculous like about 2,000 feet worth of nettle in 2 feet length. Some people take one end of the nettle stem and just pull all the leaves off in one go, so it's stinging their hands to bits. It's a mind over matter thing. Whoa, and then you eat them?
You know, two things about nettles. Those little hairs are actually needles that actually so that sting is actually like passing through into your skin, not just like brushing over you like a hair. And have you ever heard of being flogged with nettles before?
Sure.
Like for therapeutic use? So all of that stinging brings a lot of circulation to the surface and like moves blood. And so a lot of people will flog sore joints or muscle injuries or, different stagnant conditions with nettles on purpose, because then the sting brings blood to the area. And then even though you have the initial pain and sting, you have a long lasting reduction of pain from that. So Anyway, just made me curious about those people eating nettles, how they feel after that initial sting has worn off. Also, heat and mastication would seem to end the stinging. So probably doesn't hurt for more than just that beginning part.
I just have to wonder if anything happens on the way out. Oof. Anyways, okay.
On the way out?
Yeah, let's pivot away from that. Okay.
What do you mean?
KOCO.com, ABC News 5. See, this is actually an update to an article that we covered, I believe, last Beyond the News, where a man claimed friend tried to get Bigfoot to eat him. Do you remember that? And they were on a boat trip.
That.
Well,
Yes.
I'm not going to read the whole article because that's the story. A man really went crazy on a fishing trip. He thought his friend was trying to get Bigfoot to eat him after they saw Bigfoot together. Really strange, but he got sentenced to life in prison, people. Here's the headline. Oklahoma man who claimed friend tried to get Bigfoot to eat him, sentenced to life in prison. a man who admitted to killing his friend and blaming it on the fear of being eaten by Bigfoot during a 2022 noodling trip, was sentenced in the slaying Tuesday. Whoa, dude.
He began feeling suspicious.
Remember he thought
I
Bigfoot?
do remember that.
Oh my God. Okay, and speaking of another update, this is something we haven't covered in years, actually like 2 years. This is from WOWT.com. Headline, mysterious monolith discovered in Nevada desert. The monoliths are back, people. The monoliths, they're back. It's been a couple years, maybe even 3 years. Holy smokes. Okay. Here's the article. If you remember the monoliths, they were like everywhere. Now they're back. A mysterious monolith was discovered in a wildlife refuge north of Las Vegas this weekend. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said their search and rescue team discovered the strange formation near Gas Peak in the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. Gas Peak is one of the highest peaks in the area surrounding Las Vegas. Las Vegas police used the monolith sighting to remind hikers to prepare themselves before braving the wilderness. These include telling someone where they're going, researching the weather beforehand, and bringing additional food and water and light. This is not the first time mysterious monoliths have popped up in the U.S. In 2020, oh my God, it's even earlier than I thought. A monolith was discovered in the Utah desert. Another was found at the pinnacle of a trail in California, and a third was found near Albuquerque, New Mexico. Others were found worldwide, including in Romania and at a Turkish World Heritage Site, although that was discovered to be a gimmick by the Turkish government. Okay. A majority of the monoliths were destroyed or removed soon after their discovery, with some vandals citing concerns over the impact foot traffic to see the oddity could have on its surroundings. Interesting. So the monolith's back. Looks just like the other ones. Very strange. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen these strange mirrored monoliths, definitely go check it out. Speaking of anomalies, well, I mean, the monolith's an anomaly. This is an anomaly. This is from the independent.co.uk. Headline, archaeologists perplexed by large anomaly found buried under Giza pyramids. So much is coming, people. So much is going to come out. Here's the article. Archaeologists have stumbled upon what they described as a large anomaly buried under the Giza pyramid complex in Egypt. Researchers used new tools like ground-penetrating radar to assess the area under the Western Cemetery in Giza to see if anything undiscovered was buried there. They discovered a pair of underground structures, one shallow, the other deep, beneath a royal graveyard near the 4,500-year-old Great Pyramid. The archaeologists described the structures as an anomaly because their density differs from that of the surrounding ground. They believe the structures are man-made due to their shape and suspect that they were backfilled after construction. Quote, the Western Cemetery at Giza is known as an important burial place of members of the royal family and high-class officers, the archaeologists wrote, adding that an initial survey by ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography revealed, quote, an anomaly in the north of the survey sites. The area of the anomaly could be established approximately, but the structure and the location were unclear. The shallow structure measures 10 meters wide by 15 meters long and is less than under 2 meters deep. The researchers suspect that it was built to support the construction of the larger, deeper structure, which is about 5 meters at its shallowest point and 10 meters at its deepest. Such an anomaly, the researchers said, may have been caused either by a mixture of sand and gravel or by sparse spacing with air voids. It may have been an entrance to the deeper structure, they said. We believe that the continuity of the shallow structure and the deep, large structure is important. From the survey results, we cannot determine the material causing the anomaly, but it may be a large subsurface archaeological structure. They hope a careful excavation of the site could help determine the nature of these structures. Oh, it's just a construction. It was just a break room for the pyramid builders. Promise. Yeah, right, people. It's just one of those chambers. They found artifacts. They're just not telling us. So we're creeping up till the end here. We've just got a few more left. So, headline: world's first tooth regrowing drug will be given to humans in September. Whoa, yes. People with dentures, my fans, my listeners with no teeth, false teeth. It's time to bring them back with a new drug. I want a new drug that can grow my teeth. Hopefully that doesn't flag the algorithm there. I'm sorry. Apologies to Huey Lewis fans. Here's the article. The world's first human trial of a drug that can regenerate teeth will begin in a few months, less than a year on from news of its success in animals. This paves the way for the medicine to be commercially available as early as 2030. The trial, which will take place at Kyoto University Hospital from September to August 2025, will treat 30 males aged 30 to 64 who are missing at least one molar. The intravenous treatment will be tested for its efficacy on human dentition after it successfully grew new teeth in ferret and mouse models with no significant side effects. Quote, "We do want to do something to help those who are suffering from tooth loss or absence," said lead researcher Katsu Takahashi, head of dentistry and oral surgery at Kitano Hospital. While there has been no treatment to date providing a permanent cure, we feel that people's expectations for tooth growth are high. Following this 11-month first stage, the researchers will then trial the drug on patients aged 2 to 7 who are missing at least 4 teeth due to congenital tooth deficiency, which is estimated to affect 1% of people. The team is recruiting for this phase 2A trial now. You hear that, people? Researchers are then looking at expanding the trial to those with partial edentulation, or people missing 1 to 5 permanent teeth due to environmental factors. The incidence of this varies from country to country, but it's estimated around 5% of Americans are missing teeth, with a much higher incidence among older adults. The medicine itself deactivates the uterine sensitization associated gene protein, which suppresses tooth growth. Blocking that protein's interaction with other protein encourages bone morphogenetic protein signaling, which triggers new bone to generate. Whoa. It looks like a... So you get vampire teeth too if you want that. Oh my God.
Interesting.
It resulted in new teeth emerging in the mouths of mice and ferrets, species that share close to the same USAG1 properties as humans. Wow. If successful, this therapy could be available to patients with any permanently missing teeth within 6 years, people.
Whoa, and how long did it say that it takes to grow teeth? 11 months? Or I guess that's how long the study is. But yeah, I wonder how long it takes to actually, like, you just go in for procedure and you come out with a new tooth?
We'll find out in 6 years.
I guess so. You'll have to circle back on that article.
Definitely, and you'll be there. TheMirror.com with potentially new teeth. Headline, and be careful, people, when you're eating bear meat. Headline, multiple people infected with worms after eating undercooked bear meat, and it's the kind that go for your brain. Here's the article. Multiple members of a family contracted brain worms from consuming undercooked bear meat harvested by a relative, according to a report by the CDC. A 29-year-old man had been hospitalized multiple times in July with just a 2.5-week period with severe symptoms It included fever, severe muscle soreness, swelling around the eyes, and other various maladies. However, the man revealed during his second hospitalization that he had attended a family gathering in South Dakota days earlier where he ate kebabs made from black bear meat. He said the meat had been harvested by one of the family members in northern Saskatchewan. He further said that the meat had been in the freezer for a month and a half before being thawed out for the meal. According to the CDC, the meat's dark color meant it was initially served rare unintentionally. Yikes. Family members began to eat the bear kebabs, but noticed the meat tasted underdone. So it was recooked and served again. The 29-year-old man, who has not been named, was diagnosed with trichinosis, a ground worm rare in humans that is usually acquired through consuming wild game. Once the parasite enters the human body, the larva can then move through the body to muscle tissue and organs, including the brain. Oh my God.
Yikes.
5 of the family were diagnosed with freeze-resistant worms, including a 12-year-old girl and 2 family members who had only eaten the vegetables at the meal.
Oh, they were probably all cooked on the same grill or something.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh my God. 3 family members were hospitalized in total and treated with albendazole, which the Mayo Clinic claims keeps the worms from absorbing sugar, so the worm loses energy and dies. Whoa. Okay, be careful out there, people. Okay, so as you know, when we get to our last few articles, we try to close with some funny or weirdness and try to close with some positiveness, right? Bring back the love, the lights. Here we go. This isn't that, by the way. NBCnews.com. Headline, Florida priest accused of biting woman who was trying to take communion. Well, was she trying to steal it?
I'm glad this wasn't your love and light article. I was going to be worried.
I don't know what this is, actually. Here's the article. A Florida priest is accused of biting a woman during a dispute at Sunday Mass and could be charged with battery. The woman attended a 10 a.m. service at St. Thomas Aquinas Church in St. Cloud on Sunday and tried to take communion, the Diocese of Orlando said. She had a brief discussion with the Reverend Fidel Rodriguez, who told her she hadn't taken the proper steps to secure communion and sent her away with a blessing, the diocese said in a statement. The woman returned for a service 2 hours later and again tried to take communion. And when Rodriguez asked her whether she had performed the prerequisite of confession required by the Catholic Church to receive the Eucharist, she told him it was none of his business, according to the diocese. Rodriguez, who didn't have any information or details about the woman's background, offered her Holy Communion. Quote, at that point, the woman forcibly placed her hand in the vessel and grabbed some sacred communion hosts, crushing them. The diocese said Rodriguez, who only had one free hand, struggled with the woman as she refused to let go of the hosts. The church said the woman then pushed Rodriguez, who bit her hand, so she would let go of the host she grabbed. She was immediately asked to leave. Oh my God. Police investigated the incident at the church in St. Cloud, which is about 30 miles south of Orlando, and a charging affidavit accused Rodriguez of battery. Come on. The woman told police that Rodriguez tried to ram the wafer into her mouth after he became upset with her for not having completed the necessary steps to take communion, according to a police report. She accused him of grabbing and biting her arm as he tried to take a wafer he was holding. Oh my God. He told police that the woman pushed him and wouldn't let go of the tray, and that the only way he thought to extract her from it was to bite her arm. Are you sure he wasn't just hungry? Come on, he's eating all these communion wafers. They don't even have protein. They're just carbs. Okay, 2 more. This one's kind of gross and maybe the weirdest one of all. And these last 2 have to deal with children. So here we go. This one's from, tell me what you think about this, Brynn. This is from Euronews.com. Headline, veteran Spanish TV star Ana Obregón reveals surrogate baby was conceived with dead son's sperm.
Okay.
Ana Obregón, 68, said only parents who had lost a child have a right to express an opinion on the matter. A veteran Spanish TV celebrity has revealed her newly adopted daughter was conceived using her dead son's frozen sperm and is in fact her granddaughter. Actress and presenter Ana Obregón, 68, made the announcement in the magazine Hola, reigniting a fierce debate in Spain over the bioethics of surrogacy. Obregón, herself a biologist, said on Wednesday that the doctors had encouraged her son, Alex Garcia, to preserve samples of his sperm before he began treatment for cancer, and that just before he died in 2020, he expressed a desire to have a child. The samples, she said, were stored in New York. Surrogate pregnancies are banned in Spain, although children from such pregnancies in other countries can be registered. Obregón said she used a surrogate mother in Miami, Florida. Okay, at least it wasn't her. Oh my God. I thought it was her for a second. Quotes, "The girl is not my daughter, but rather my granddaughter. If that was my son's last will and testament, how could I not do it?" she said, adding that only parents who had lost a child could express an opinion on the matter. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What are these people tripping about?
She just has a granddaughter. It's not like the article title makes it sound like she had her son's kid.
Yeah.
Like that sounds all whack and weird, but then it's like, oh, some other person in Florida had a surrogate pregnancy and now she's taking care of her granddaughter that would have potentially been born through him if he would have lived.
No, that's fine.
I don't know.
What are these people tripping about? I'm sorry. Look, guys, listeners.
I'm neutral on that. Yeah.
And look, guys, listeners, I'm just saying, I thought that was the same thing. That title got me was clickbait. It clickbaited me. And,
Titles have a way of doing that.
Okay, so let's just move on to fox8.com, the final article of the evening. Headline, woman didn't know she was pregnant, gives birth at Golden Corral, and names baby after restaurants. Woo!
Yeah, Golden's a cool name.
I think it's Golden Corral.
Well, you could go by Golden. Goldie.
Gold. And here is the
Corey.
Final article. An Arkansas woman who did not know she was pregnant gave birth to a healthy baby boy at a Golden Corral restaurant and then named her baby after the franchise. According to Today, Tavia Woodfork and her family were visiting a Golden Corral restaurant in North Little Rock on May 4th when she told her family about some stomach pain she was having. According to the Today report, that is when 26-year-old Tavia excused herself to go to the bathroom. Tavia's mother, Tamika Woodfork, went to check on her daughter after about 10 minutes. That is when she found Tavia in distress and crying. Tavia did not realize she was 37 weeks pregnant and in active labor. She experienced what is called a cryptic pregnancy. According to the Cleveland Clinic, a cryptic pregnancy is when a person is unaware they're pregnant. Tavia said she didn't experience any pregnancy signs such as weight gain or feeling fetal movement, according to Today. After paramedics arrived at the restaurant, Tavia gave birth to a healthy baby boy who weighed 6 pounds, 1 ounces. His name, Tamar Kylon Corral Woodfork. According to the report, Tavia is also the mother to 2-year-old Talon. Golden Corral later posted a photo of the newborn on X saying, "It's a boy. Please join us in welcoming Tamar Kylon Corral Woodfork, who was so excited that his mother was dining at Golden Corral that he decided to join her. He was just born in our Golden Corral in North Little Rock, Arkansas." And wow. And she'll probably get some gift cards the other day. Okay, people. Wow. That was it. Beyond the News. We did it. We ripped through some articles here. So much going on. Brynn, what did you think about this episode? It wasn't as dark and dreary maybe as last time. Last time was a little dark and dreary. This was a little more all over the place. Well, aliens.
A lot of space.
We're in
Yeah,
space.
for sure. Good prophecies.
Prophecies, good things happening. Diabetes cures, UFOs, Dyson spheres, suns close to us. So many good things. 5-year-old Jesus turning clay birds into birds.
New teeth.
New teeth with a drug.
Meat rice.
Meat rice.
What was the other one was about rice too? So it's 2 different ways they're just messing with rice, which is interesting, being such a staple of food in the world.
I know.
So
they have to mess with that one.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Anna Obregon did not have the surrogate baby herself. She did not carry the baby with her son's sperm. So anyway, she's 68. Thought that was a little strange. So Brynn, incredible time. We did it.
Yeah, let's get together for some, do you want to have a nettle contest?
No, I don't. But maybe you should enter that. Perhaps that's a skill you didn't realize you had.
I haven't tried that one yet.
Try eating one. Let's see what happens.
I usually cook my nettles first so they don't sting.
Interesting.
But,
Yeah. I doubt they do that there. So
no, it didn't look like it.
Okay, well, watch out, people taking communion in Florida. So many different things. Incredible episode. Thank you so much for being here, Brynn.
Absolutely.
Vital Force Herbs, the blends, vitalforceherbs.com. You want to leave our listeners with anything before we go? You've been here. These articles, they were so good. You want to say anything?
Thank you so much, Jake. Thanks, everybody out there. I appreciate being here. That was informative, entertaining, a little bit scary at times, but overall, moving forward in the world.
And very beyond. Very beyond, right?
Very beyond
the news. Okay. Well, thank you again for being here, Brynn. That was pretty epic. And everyone, my God, the things that are happening on this planet, the technological advances that are about to happen.
On the precipice, for sure.
Yes. All the different things, the Harvard study, so much is going on. So on that note, love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking it out to the end of this episode. I appreciate you so much. And we'll see you next week. Midnight on Earth.